Sometimes God sends messages to people on earth that he ain't happy and some shit is about to go down.
And because Abraham was to be a great leader, God determined here that showing Abraham what he would soon do to Sodom and Gomorrah was necessary, so as to prepare him for the burdens of such leadership.
No, I wasn't talking about Abraham. I was talking about Cat Williams.
Right after the age of truth, the revealing is the scab being pulled off.
And the burnings began.
Over the last few weeks, California's been hit with massive wildfires. Entire neighborhoods wiped out.
Entire neighborhoods of pedophiles. Next! You remember what the pedos done to Kevin Hart in pedo land?
I mean, Kevin Hart was fired from the Oscars because of some offensive tweets. Hello?
And most of them pedos' houses burned down in Los Angeles.
The Oscars controversy, he stepped down from hosting the show when past homophobic tweets and jokes resurfaced. He's been in the news ever since.
Once again, Kevin Hart apologizes for his remarks that hurt members of the LGBTQ community. I apologize. I'm now moving on from this.
And gay liberals can't. They don't like homophobic jokes.
Let's have a laugh at your expense, shall we? Remember, they're just jokes. We're all gonna die soon.
Over 20 lives lost, tens of thousands of people displaced.
And there's no sequel, so...
The truth must be revealed.
God then reveals to Abraham, the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is so great and their sin so grievous that I will go down and see if what they have done is as bad as the outcry that has reached me.
Damn, you know Sodom and Gomorrah is bad as hell if God had to go down there personally. Hell, God ain't even been to Chicago yet.
Here we learn that the offences committed by Sodom and Gomorrah are so great that it warrants a visit from God.
Cat Williams warned us about this.
The worldwide government is way smarter than we give them credit for.
Especially when it comes to destroying and hiding evidence.
Because they have us believing they don't do nothing.
And that's a lie.
But the truth is, like there's no such thing as the government is in bed with the internet. No, the internet is a government installation.
And some people in the government protect pedos.
But tonight isn't just about the people in front of camera. In this room are some of the most important TV and film executives in the world. People from every background, but they all have one thing in common. They're all terrified of Ronan Farrow.
And the Lord.
It can be gathered that God had heard from multiple sources as to what was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah, and that the news of this disturbed him greatly.
Just like the P. Diddy case.
There's a third arrest that is coming. There's 2 that's already down. The world is going to crumble when they see this next arrest.
I hope it's Barack Obama or LeBron James. Next! Because if the FBI don't deal with him, God will.
As God declares that he will go down and see for himself, it isn't necessarily because he doesn't already know, but more so to demonstrate how thorough he is when it comes to delivering such extremities.
He's coming for you. He's coming for you.
Basically, before he nukes a city, he makes sure they have violated his rules.
Like having sex with kids.
Look, talking of all you perverts, it was a big year. It was a big year for paedophile movies. Surviving R. Kelly, Leaving Neverland, 2 Popes.
Now it's P. Diddy and the baby oil. Next! Did you know Abraham tried to test God gangsters on dealing with perverts?
Where he actually proceeded to challenge God's plan and his integrity, saying, "Will you sweep away the righteous with the wicked? What if there are 50 righteous people in the city? Will you really sweep it away?"
Spoiler alert, season 2 is on the way, so in the end, he obviously didn't kill himself. Just like Jeffrey Epstein. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care.
And you can burn in hell with him.
And not spare the place for the sake of 50 righteous people in it. Far be it from you to do such a thing, to kill the righteous with the wicked, treating the righteous and the wicked alike. Far be it from you. Will not the judge of all the earth do right?
Well, why in the hell you sons of bitches on earth don't start doing it first?
Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him.
If I find 50 righteous people in the city of Sodom, I will spare the whole place for their sake.
Even Prince Andrew's like, come on, Leo, mate, you know. You're nearly 50, son.
The fact that God listens to Abraham also seeks to show believers that God does listen when prayers are made, and that in this instance, amongst others, he does grant people the opportunity to change his mind about things.
Like people who change their mind according to what the pedos say.
If you do win an award tonight, don't use it as a platform to make a political speech, right? You're in no position to lecture the public about anything. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So, if you win, right, come up, accept your little award, thank your agent and your God, and fuck off, okay?
Because nobody is listening to your ass. Next!
Of course, it must also be said that God probably already knew there weren't going to be 10 righteous people in Sodom and Gomorrah, so his acquiescence to Abraham isn't because Abraham was such a compelling negotiator, but more so because God was going to do whatever he wanted anyway. And so, he does.
And burnt the motherfucker down. Next!
What I want to see, what I usually look at in situations like this is I look at the patterns of who got wiped out and how.
Genesis 19, so appropriately named Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed, pretty much reveals to us from the get-go that 10 innocent souls were not found in the city.
And at a P. Diddy party.
And one of the first questions, I'll be honest, that I'm going to look at when I look at some of the communities involved is how many of the homeowners were on the P. Diddy list.
Or a P. Diddy video. Next!
The perspective of the story shifts from Abraham to his nephew Lot, who we know was living in Sodom at the time. The Bible tells us that he was sitting in the gateway of the city when he saw 2 angels, again likely 2 of the men that Abraham had greeted and welcomed them to the city. In fact, he responds similarly to them as Abraham had, and proceeds to bow before them with his face low to the ground.
And so did P. Diddy. But it wasn't angels he was bowing down to. It was the FBI. His ass was under arrest. Get face down, nigga. On the ground now.
That Lot was persistent enough to win over the angels. But it's also possible that his persistence was not out of a need to offer them hospitality, but instead for their own safety. For he knew the sin in the city better than anyone, being one of its residents, and knew that the men here would come calling for the visitors, who were both so obviously striking.
And obviously look like kids. Next! Pedo land, Sodom and Gomorrah, they damn self.
In the meantime, there's going to be deaths, distractions, and fires to hide evidence.
And God didn't start this fire, the liberals did.
The angels are able to recognize Lot's urgency and agree to go with him, though this was likely to humour him, for the mere men of Sodom could do them no real harm after all.
Because they were strapped with the Lord.
Lot prepared them a meal, which they ate, and they intended to retire to bed. But since their arrival, word of 2 handsome visitors had spread through Sodom, and it wasn't long before the angels were tracked down to Lot's house.
Or P. Diddy mansion, because there was lots of evidence of stars burnt up in the Hollywood, Los Angeles wildfires.
Watch for it, ask questions, demand answers.
Drake,
Oprah, J-Lo, A-Rod.
It is still an inferno out here. You can see just how strong the waves. Oh, whoa! And you heard that explosion there. This.
Watch for those fires. Explosions make fires too.
Here again, the 800 block of Radcliffe Avenue. Of course, we want to keep our distance, but we're hearing some bangs going on. We obviously don't know what's exploding.
I do. Celebrity evidence. Next!
Will Smith. Alicia Keys. That's pretty hit. Black King God, dude.
Explosions make accidental fires too, and then oops, we don't know how that happened.
This is the back of a home here, trees up in flames at the moment, the flames spreading to the home.
Justin Bieber. Kevin Hart. Mark Wahlberg. Snoop.
And then you look into it and you see that it's tied to something that's tied to something that's tied to something that's tied to trafficking.
DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled.
Swiss Beats.
Beat.
Kelly Rowland.
Kelly Rowland.
Chris Brown.
Chris Brown. And then you realize, oh, it wasn't just an explosion or a fire.
Maluma.
Maluma.
Sheree.
Sheree.
Sierra.
Sierra.
Janelle Monáe.
Janelle Monáe.
Yeah, that's my sis right there.
It wasn't an accident.
Lizzo.
Lizzo.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Megan Thee Stallion.
Jay Balvin.
Jay Balvin.
Naomi Campbell.
Naomi Campbell.
That's your auntie.
He's burning, is it? Because didn't I tell y'all that? Didn't I tell y'all there will be an accidental explosion?
Usher.
Usher.
Demi Lovato.
Demi Lovato.
Shaq and his whole family.
Shaq and his whole family. Accidental fire.
Tracy Ellis Ross.
Tracy Ellis Ross.
Little Uzi Vert.
Little Uzi Vert.
Sway Lee.
Sway Lee. And the next thing you know, celebrities' homes would be on fire. Things would be on fire.
Rick Ross.
Rick Ross.
Julian Huff.
Julian Huff.
Diplo.
Diplo.
E-Nice.
E-Nice. I pray for the people in its path, but I also pray that it exposes the things that it needs to expose.
Drea. Murder Boy. The show's third singer. Nicole Scherzinger.
Whatever that bitch name is she a pedo? Next!
Before either angel could retire to bed, they were met with a disturbance. The Bible tells us that all the men from every part of the city of Sodom, both young and old, surrounded Lot's house.
To try and have butt sex.
They proceeded to call out to Lot and said, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us so that we can have sex with them."
And don't forget about the pizza.
What up? Yo, listen. Do not entertain none of this nonsense and nothing over the phone. Alright?
So the Bible pretty much tells us that the men who came to Lot's house have come to have sexual relations with the angels.
Or at P. Diddy house, another man or kid, whatever your preference is.
I'm gonna need you to get rid of all the leftover pizza boxes.
They are not only demanding here, but also demonstrate a total disregard for the principles of hospitality and morality, all so that they can be sexually satisfied. Notice they don't care who the visitors are, they just simply want to have sex with them, and are not interested as to whether this is consensual or not. All that appears to be stopping them is the door to Lot's house.
And at P. Diddy house, ain't nothing stopping them at all.
The what? All the boxes left over from the pizza.
The Bible then tells us that men both young and old surrounded the house, implying that pretty much every man in Sodom was implicit of the sin unfolding in the city.
Of wanting to have butt sex with angels.
In other words, good luck finding Abraham's 10 God-fearing people in Sodom.
That's why Tom ain't taking a trip to Sodom, Gomorrah, or the damn pedo lands in Hollywood. The damn show ain't gonna order no Puff Daddy pizza.
All the boxes, okay? Make sure you recycle the plastic like we talked about. Yeah.
And the mob said, and we're gonna have butt sex like we talked about.
The Bible continues that Lot attempts to dissuade the mob, telling them not to do such a wicked thing. However, Lot attempts to dissuade the mob in a rather questionable way. He tries to bargain with the mob by offering up his 2 daughters instead.
But the liberal men didn't want no pussy.
"No, my friends," he tells the mob, "don't do this wicked thing. Look, I have 2 daughters who have never slept with a man. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do what you like with them. But don't do anything to these men, for they have come under the protection of my roof.
Or my pizza parlor.
Tonight, the man who terrorized people at a crowded D.C. pizza shop back in 2016 has died. Edgar Madison Welch was shot and killed Monday by police in Kannapolis, North Carolina, after he pulled out a gun during a traffic stop. 8 years ago, the so-called Pizzagate gunman entered Comet Ping Pong in Northwest with a revolver and rifle. He was searching for a non-existent child ring, which he learned about from a right-wing conspiracy website. Welch was sentenced to prison and released back in 2021.
A non-existent pedophile ring that was a right-wing conspiracy. Well, most likely this conspiracy theory is true.
This happened 2 hours ago, or it was reported 2 hours ago.
And he got Jeffrey Epstein. So his ass had to go. He was evidence. Next!
The gravity of the situation weighed on Lot almost immediately, and he went about asking his sons-in-law, those who were pledged to marry his daughters, to leave the city with him, because God was about to destroy it. To their detriment though, the sons-in-law thought he was joking, and so they did not go with him. By the morning, the angels urged Lot to hurry up and leave, for the destruction was imminent. This leads us to believe that Lot had actually spent some time trying to save people, or at least convince them that God was about to destroy the city.
Get out of Sodom and Gomorrah or pedo land now.
And that they should flee.
Or your butt sex days is over.
Unfortunately, it would seem that everyone adopted the same attitude as his sons-in-law.
So they ass burned too.
Either laughing him off or dismissing him as crazy.
Like it would be crazy to believe that nature or God started these wildfires in pedo land.
Chris Brown wrote in an Instagram story post, "Someone's starting these fires. Ish don't add up."
Yeah, but Miss Chocolate and Cocoa donations add up. And Miss Chocolate and Cocoa donations is going on a fire to start weed. Next! Not to destroy no pedo evidence. And the insurance come help rebuild the son of a bitch back up.
This would not be comfortable for Lot, and so he sought to ask the angels to spare one tiny city that would become known as Zoar, so that he would have a place to live once the destruction had come to pass.
And pedo land burned to a damn crisp.
The angels appear to agree to this request, and so they wait for Lot to be on his way to Zoar before the plan is executed.
Meanwhile, Dancing with the Stars professional Peter Murgatroyd shared a screenshot of an X post that read, "Los Angeles, Southern California. There are at least 5 men going around in ski masks starting fires. Keep an eye out."
And they not angels. They immigrants.
In Genesis 19:24 through 25, the destruction of the surrounding cities of the desert is detailed as, "The Lord rained down burning sulfur on Sodom and Gomorrah."
Or pedo land.
And then there's podcaster and neuroscientist Andrew Huberman, who shared a post showing a group of people standing suspiciously close to what looked like a freshly started fire in the Santa Monica area.
Thus he overthrew those cities and the entire plain, destroying all those living in the cities and also the vegetation in the land.
Or in pedo land case, all the evidence in the city.
You'll remember that the angels in Genesis 19:17 advised Lot and his family to flee for their lives and not to look back. However, Lot's wife is noted as doing exactly that.
Because she liberal. She hard-headed.
In a way, some might see Lot's wife as a sympathizer of God's enemies, and so, because of this, she was punished.
Well, Sarah Ford, I guess a hard head make a burnt ass.
Others believe that her looking back is an example of her being too attached to her old life, and that she was looking back in regret for what she was losing and not what God was granting her in a new life away from sin.
And out of that damn liberal city.
Others agree that her looking back is a metaphor for our own human impulses, and that even when the angels gave her a command, she still disobeyed out of curiosity, thus echoing the story of temptation in Adam and Eve and the original sin. Then of course there is the simple and short answer, in that she disobeyed the angels' instructions and was therefore punished for it.
And got her ass melted. Next! And Lot's wife was dead. Now all Lot got was his daughters that he tried to hoe out into orgies with liberal, gay, transgender, homosexual men.
However, his daughters begin to realize that if they stayed in the cave, they would not meet men and would not be able to give birth to children and carry on their family's legacy.
So Beth Roberts, them hoes done the unthinkable. They took this pro-life shit a little bit too far. Next!
Call me a conspiracy theorist, but there is no way that 8 different fires starting within a period of 48 hours in LA is due to climate change.
No, it's due to evidence gone. Next!
So one night, the oldest daughter decided to get her father drunk, to the point that he was unaware of his surroundings.
I'm sorry, they don't sell that type of liquor at the liquor store on my corner. Incest. 80% proof and 100% nasty.
Once Lot was in this incapacitated state, she proceeded to have sex with him, and is impregnated.
I was thinking the same thing, Miss Black Barbie. This bitch had to vote for Kamala Harris. Next!
You want to tell me that insurance companies canceling people's policies in these areas over the past few months, officials cutting firefighting funding, emptying water reservoirs, and being more concerned about sending aid to another country is just coincidence?
No, that's what the fuck liberals do, amongst other things.
The next night, the younger daughter does the same thing, and is also impregnated.
Lot got some nasty ass daughters.
Throughout these 2 nights, Lot appears to have no recollection of these events taking place. As the Bible states in both occasions, again, he was not aware of it, when she lay down or when she got up.
As he say, just like the liberals not aware of all the underground tunnels, underground, under pedo land.
With the hazmat, we have found a underground lithium battery storage plant for bicycle batteries that has posed a huge hazard in that area.
And batteries is not the only thing that's stored under them damn grounds when all the immigrant kids go.
The Bible later states that both daughters successfully gave birth in Genesis 19:36 through 38.
We are working with the hazmat teams to keep that contained.
Both of Lot's daughters became pregnant by their father.
So a lot of that is just very dangerous. As you just heard, the air quality in some of that area is still very, very high and dangerous.
Usually when liberals destroy evidence, it's very dangerous because you never know who's a pedo.
It is certainly an uncomfortable way for the chapter to end. 2 daughters seducing and essentially raping their own father.
Because in liberal cities, it's usually the other way around. Usually it's the parents trying to fuck the kids.
There's also an irony here that in his own drunkenness, Lot facilitates the same shameful act that he had put forth to the mob in Sodom by laying with his own daughters.
So watch out for these big ass protesters against pedophilia, because them sons of bitches might be the biggest pedos they damn self.